I mean, and ultimately, I'm saying you look at your form and where you are in the table now, it looks much better, and it just shows you how quick things can change.
It doesn't feel quick to me. It certainly doesn't feel quick, but no, we've had to make a hell of a lot of changes. We are, I think, without a winning 10 games, we had to look really deep into whether we were the same team or not, and without question we're not. Without question we're not. We're a different team, we've got different attributes. And I think 8 or 9 games in, we started recruiting again. And that recruitment's led us in a different direction. But look, it's all about winning. The game's about winning. The only way I don't get abused is to win games. The only way I can improve the football club is to win games. The only way I can improve anything is to win games. So we've found a different way, but we found a way of winning. When I look back, and it was tough at the start. When I look back over the last 7 games, it's been enjoyable seeing a kind of fresh emergence of players out of the shadows that are now playing, week in, week out. And as a developer of players at heart, and I think I've carried that on at Yeovil with the amount of players that we've had bids for, and obviously the players that we've sold. It's been quite enjoyable to see. I've spoke really well of him lately. The emergence again of Worthington, Skendi, real emergence of Albie. Knowles obviously played very well Saturday, but has to do it over a consistent basis. Bradley, I feel, was taking some positive steps, and I'm really enjoying working with Alex because I think there's lots to work on. So we can kind of, we have lots of dialogue about what we need to do all the time, and that's going to take time with Alex. He's playing a new position. Max Hunt, a young player. I think the average age on Saturday it's definitely the youngest team I've ever put out in my coaching career. I think it was just shy of 24 years old. The only two old men were Collins and Reed. We were Hunty at 21, Bradley at 21, Michael Kelly 23, Nerfield 19, Knowles 21, Worthy 23, Joe Quigley, even though he looks 43, 24. It was a really, really young side, and there were young parts of our game Saturday, but there was also that lovely enthusiasm and fearlessness that you get with good young players, not just young players, good young players.
And Stockport are next up. What sort of a game are you expecting from them?
A different one to a Jim Gannon Stockport. Definitely a different one, but all the normal rubbish. They're a highly resourceful club now, an expensive assembled squad. Counts for nothing, as Sutton showed on Tuesday night. But solid men, solid. When you walk down the tunnel at Stockport against this Stockport group, it's a big group of men. A big group of robust. Not many learners in the team, not many projects in the team, all pretty established, and they pay for that established figure. So they're all tough. I mean, we're still 18th. They're all tough. They really are because of our start, but we're attacking games again, and that's really nice to watch on the sideline. We're making lots and lots of errors, but they're forgivable errors because they're innocent and honest. And I'm enjoying watching the enthusiasm that kind of seeps out of Knowlesy and Worthy and Albs and those types of players. So. And they've been well marshalled by Smith and Collins and Reed, who are kind of the senior 3.
What do you make of the late kick-off, 5:30 kick-off, somewhere that far away? It's a long trip, of course, anyway. You say any game's a long trip for Yeovil, but what do you make of the 5:30 kick-off at Stockport?
Well, I'm a dad of 2 young children, so I'm quite looking forward to the lay-in on Saturday morning. Someone who's had COVID pretty seriously in the last couple of weeks, any sleep that I can get to try and catch up on that period is of real benefit to me. So I'm quite looking forward to having my own bed and the lay-in. But listen, it is what it is. I like being requested to be on the telly. You know, I think it shows the status of your club. I think it shows, you know, where you're going. I think it shows that obviously in this instance Stockport are in the playoffs, and we are I'm guessing one of the top 3 informed teams. So you know, it's quite a nice little battle. I know the new manager really well. I've known him for years. We share a really close friend that's kind of always gravitated us towards each other. I think he's a smashing guy. I think he's a really good coach, and you know, he's being welcomed very quickly onto the coalface of what first team management is. So, but he, you know, just because he's a friend off the pitch, he won't get any less than fullback from me from the minute that whistle goes. So, and he knows that, and I know he'll give it, you know, the same way. So, we could end up fighting.
Well, we hope it doesn't come to that, but good luck for the weekend, Darren.
It'd be a hell of a spectacle to two gingers fighting. Hell of a spectacle.
It would keep the Premier League off the back pages, let's say that.
Class.
Good luck, Darren.
Thanks, mate. Top man. Next.
Afternoon, Darren.
How are you
doing?
Yeah, good, mate. You alright?
Yeah, apart from the haircut, mate, I'm fine. Now then, how's Michael Kelly settling in?
Michael's a really, really strong character. A really strong character. He's come in. Paul Tisdale spoke really well of him, and I have huge amounts of respect for Paul Tisdale. And Paul said he is a wonderful professional, a brilliant talker, kind of an old head on young shoulders, and he's been that, and he's settled in very well. And he's settled in very well because he talks. You know, something as basic and as simple as that, but he's a really good communicator, Michael. Highly professional. You look at his body shape, you look at, you know, his physique. Obviously he's worked very hard to obtain that strength and that physique and that physical performance. And he, straight from the word go, didn't need... What I really hate when players come in, I hate the adage of, I need a couple of days to get to know everyone. Michael hasn't been like that in any way, shape or form. He's just come in and been you know, very, very professional and got on with his job. And the great thing is he's created competition in a position that has been largely dominated by one player. But Michael hasn't done that. Michael's when the door was left ajar, Michael kicked himself through and has made it a competition now with him and Carl. So we've got good. It's the one position in our back four now where we've got depth, you know, very strong depth, and he's been fabulous to have around.
So, having sort of got over the traumas of COVID, although I presume you more or less got over it now, I suppose this whole voting business is a real pain in the backside for you, isn't it? You want to concentrate on just getting the team winning games now, don't you, without that worry about that?
I think we've got to do that anyway, Aid. I think that when you're in it, it's really weird. It almost becomes a little bit... all this becomes a bit boring, I find it. Because, you know, we want to do our job. I know there's more to it than just that, but we want to do our job. We want to make sure that we're out every day, you know, doing what we do. We are in harm's way, you know. We are putting ourselves into the to the belly of the beast, if you like, in terms of the illness, because we travel, we mix, and, you know, we're in tunnels and changing rooms and things like that. So we are putting ourselves at risk. And I never thought of it that way until I had it, until I had coronavirus. And, you know, obviously everyone knows I don't want to keep harping on, but I didn't have a great time with it. So we are doing that, and I do look at that a little bit differently. But we've got to keep preparing ourselves to win, and, you know, we've found a winning mechanic, and not a formula yet, but almost a way. And it's very, very different, like I've said, to what we had last year, but it's a way nonetheless. And we want to keep that rolling on. And we're enjoying winning games, and we're enjoying the kind of the challenges and the obstructions that come with winning games, because winning games is hard work. I mean, blimey, it's a lot easier to lose and, you know, not give yourself to a winning mentality. But so winning games is hard. It's, you know, it's meant that we've had quite a lot of players in injury, players putting themselves at risk, players playing injured, players playing under painkillers and injections and things like that. So, you know, we want to carry on that nice feeling on a Saturday after the game, and, we'll attack Stockport with as much vigour and youthful exuberance as we can.
Do you feel generally though that the team is beginning to get back to the sort of form that you had last season now?
No, I think we're completely different. I think we're a completely different beast because we've got completely different people, and they've got different, completely different attributes. And I feel like this season has been a constant revolving door in terms of feel like we get to a point. I remember we went away at Halifax, we played 3-5-2, and I thought Staunton, Wilkinson and Collins would be as good a back three as you could get in the division. So we played the game, we played really well and we passed the ball really well. Warburton was playing in a three and blah blah blah. I remember the following game we played Dagenham and we had to play 3 different defensive units. So you finish Halifax, you think good point away from home. We've now found that kind of winning, I call it mechanic, or a formula. And then within 25 minutes of the following game, Collins is off injured, Wilkinson gets sent off after an hour, and we've played 3 different defensive units in one game, and you're searching for another winning mechanic. And that's how I feel it's been. And I still feel it's been like that because, we've had to change the back four again, obviously, in the last couple of games. But we've found a space in time where the new players that came in, understanding the system, we're starting to develop, we're starting to dig deeper into their personalities, we know more about them. So we are kind of rolling. We're nothing like what we were last year. Absolutely nothing. I think we're moons apart in terms of the style and the strategy of our play. Just because we play a similar system, that's just the wrapping paper. The bit inside is completely, the product is completely different. And it's taken a while. It has taken a while. And unless you're that team that recruits very aggressively with lots and lots of resources, this is what you have to do. This has been my career. This has been 20 years. You have to find a way. Because we're not going out and going, we really want him, and we're the leading pursuit in that chase. Because leading pursuits is financially very, very dangerous for us. But no, we're enjoying doing what we're doing. We're enjoying, like I said, I'm really enjoying working with the likes of Knowles and Bradleys and Hunts and these young people that are starting out in their career, and they need a bit of help. And it's almost like Terry and I have had to go back to the developmental side of us rather than the kind of the manager who's just punching winning into people's mindset all the time. But it's been different, but it's been we have played well, or we've played well in a different way. And I really loved, especially Saturday, I really loved the innocence and the energy of the team.
Finally, for me, you mentioned when we spoke yesterday about Luke Wilkinson and was having a test. Any news on him?
We think he's going to be the rest of the month. We think he's going to miss February. We're trying to work towards him being available for early March. But we're pretty sure now that he's not going to be available for the rest of this calendar month anyway. So huge miss. There's no getting away from it. It's, my thoughts on Luke and how important he is to us. But hopefully we'll be in good shape at the end of February, and we're bringing some really key players back into our team in early March.
Well, best of luck tomorrow, Darren, or not tomorrow, Saturday. Hopefully, 3 points.
Thanks, mate.
Hey Darren, how you doing?
Good, mate. You?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. So Stockport again on Saturday, but it's on telly. We know
that's very nonchalant. So Stockport again telly.
So we know the form in front of the television cameras. Can you break the duck on Saturday?
I don't know. I left my crystal ball in my boot today when I got out of the car. But yeah, listen, we've been rubbish on the telly. Absolutely car crash rubbish previously. But like I said, this is a completely different team. Has Knowles ever played on the telly before? Don't know. Has Nerfield? Don't know. The ones who have played for us on the telly before, they've never played well on the telly before. Eventually that's got to change. Alex Bradley, telly, don't know. So I think when you got the senior players don't even think about it. They just get on. Ruben Reid. I watched him on Sky Sports the other day on one of the classic EFL games in the playoff final for Exeter against Blackpool. He's played at Wembley in front of 50,000. Been on, so he's been on a huge stage before, and many times in his career. Lee Collins is the same. Played at Wembley in the playoff finals, and so they won't think of it. Knowles might think of it. I don't know. Until they go through these experiences as men, as people, you don't know how they're going to do. So Worthy's now at a point where he shouldn't even be thinking about it. It should just be another game. So but he wasn't like that last year. And he certainly weren't like that away at Kings Lynn. That's for sure. You got a little bit of a volley at half time for that performance, but. Yeah, I'm sure we'll do our best. Like in every game, we'll do our best. We've got a young team, and the only thing you can really expect of a young team is that they're fearless, they're innocent, naive, but they're energetic and enthused by just being out there, regardless who's watching.
I know you don't tend to worry about other teams, but should teams start worrying about you now that you're in decent form?
If they want to. If they want to, everyone's different. I've worked for top managers. Javi Gracia at Watford was a top manager, and he did a 6-minute video before playing Pochettino's Tottenham. I've played for managers that have done 20-minute videos. I've played for worked for managers that didn't do anything. Just worry about yourself. And I think we're at a point. Because we're such a youthful side now, or at the moment, I think we're at a point where we've got to really work hard at us and being us. Feels like our season started maybe 7 games ago, because when you normally kind of attach winning to your momentum, your start, the way you feel, everything like that. So this is a completely new team. When Terry and I talk about training and what we're trying to achieve on a day-to-day basis, we're talking about a lot of learning at the moment. Everything's about learning. Can they be better at this? Can he be better at that? Albie's still learning hugely in terms of that position. Joe Quigley's learning. He's a young player. He's been regurgitated the normal nonsense that coaches give big centre forwards, and we're trying to kind of uncoach him of those habits and bring him into it, to our ways. So there's so much coaching that has to go on. We're not working with a Charlie Lee where you just say, Charlie, this is what we were trying to achieve, how we get there, put your own marker on it. You can be like that with Ruben. You can't be like that with Alex Bradley at right back. So there's a lot of teaching going along at the moment, and I'm a big believer in not filling players' heads with too much information. And whilst there's so much that we have to do with our players and the coaching and the educating and the development, because there's a big thing. I mean, when we've recruited, and again we've recruited late, not through anyone's fault apart from this silly illness. When we've recruited late, we've recruited long term. We've recruited with next year in mind. So we're starting to already build our squad for next year. Staunton, Bradley, Collins, Wilkinson, Hunt. They're strong players. They're going to be strong players for this club. Etc. Skendis and Reeds and blah blah blah. And that's what we've tried to do. And so there is an element of long term about our recruitment. And I thought that was a big change in our form and our play, because we didn't look at the here and now and say, blimey, we need to get a win now. We looked at the development of the squad over a longer period, and I think that's when you make decisions based on that, I think you get greater outcomes in the shorter term as you do in the long term. I think when you look desperately, and there are clubs in our division doing it now, I'm not going to say because it's disrespectful, and they're looking for that, they're looking to get out of that desperation zone. They make quick decisions on their recruitment. They make quick decisions under a negative, atmosphere. I think they're the worst decisions you can make. So that's just my experience of it. But I think we're starting to build this squad that can really challenge this year, hopefully, which I still believe we will. I really do. But worst case in the long term, can really challenge for titles and silverware.
Lovely. That's all for me. Good luck on Saturday, Darren.
Smashing. Cheers, lads.